I used to obsess over my manifestation so much that I was actually blocking them from coming. I was stuck in an endless loop of doubt, losing hope every time when things didn't show up exactly when I wanted or how I wanted. But here's what changed everything for me. I realized my anxiety wasn't the problem. It was actually proof of my true potential trying to emerge. And this realization changed everything regarding how I see anxiety, how I experience anxiety, or even whether I still experience anxiety or not, because I don't anymore. And that helped me manifest effortlessly, without doubt, without resistance, without trying to make things happen. I just became magnetic. I magnetized my desires. They are drawn to me without me being anxious or attached or worried about them coming to me.
I like to be educated, but I'm so
So
frustrated.
today,
I
I'm
like
going to
to
share
make
3 paradigm shifts that changed everything. How I redefine anxiety and attachment and what it really means to be practical about manifestation. And this video is going to be a breakthrough for you. And we will not only go through the level of anxiety, like emotions and feelings, but we will also go deeper in terms of core beliefs, what it means on an energetic level and in terms of frequency, and also on a cell level. Before my breakthrough, I was trapped in what I call the manifestation anxiety cycle. Sound familiar? I assume so. You would set an intention, get excited the next day, immediately start worrying. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not worthy? What if I'm not enough? What if I'm doing it wrong? Yeah. You check for signs obsessively, feel disappointed when things didn't happen on your timeline, and then spiral into feeling less than, undeserving. Like maybe you're just not one of those people who can manifest easily. You see how anxiety feeds your actions, feelings, and then your belief system. And truly, I was vibrating from a place of lack disguised in spiritual practice. I seemed like I was doing my meditations, visualizations, scripting, affirmations, but on a deeper level, I was anxious. I was distrusting. I was attached. And, it was really playing with my self concept. But now I can tap into the feeling of the visual field instantly. I enjoy the present moment without that underlying anxiety. My manifestations flow effortlessly and on autopilot because I'm no longer grouping them with that desperate energy. So I have shifted from the frequency of lack to the frequency of wholeness, abundance, and calm. So, this is how I did it. First of all, I reframed anxiety. So, basically, anxiety is the fear of losing. It is worry about the future, what might happen. And so, we need to go through these levels of emotions to see what we are fearful of, what we are worried about, right? And why. Let me break this down into what's happening. So, the first thing is about that importance trap. When you put massive importance on an outcome, you're actually broadcasting neediness, right? If you're fearful of losing, if you're worried about the future, you put that importance, and the underlying message is that this is very important for me. If it doesn't happen the way I want it, I'm going to feel XYZ, or I'm going to believe about myself XYZ. This importance comes from low self concept and lack of trust in yourself and in the universe's intelligence. You don't believe that you're capable of handling the future outcome or a loss, and you don't believe that the universe is supporting you every single moment. When you're desperately attached to how and then some things manifest, you're operating from the belief that you don't have confidence in the process or in yourself. So, lack of confidence is basically the frequency of lack. I don't trust in myself and I don't trust in the universe. And this brings me to my second point, the frequency of lack. Every time you check if it's working, every time you worry about timeline, or every time you feel that spike of what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm doing wrong? You're literally vibrating lack. You're sending out the signal that you don't have it, that you can't trust it's coming, that you won't be having it as well. Because if you knew that your desired reality is going to be here anytime, sooner or later, but you're sure that you're going to have it, you wouldn't be worried. So essentially, it means you believe you're not going to have it. Frequency of lack. If you know that it doesn't serve you, if worrying about that is not serving you, if it's not serving to your manifestation, then we need to let go of it. You need to detach from it. It's a simple decision. It's a simple decision, and this is what we're going to do today. The third step is about the protection myth. So we worry about what might happen, right? But the truth is, we never know what might happen, even we had these plan B, C, D, E's, and so on. Actually, life never happened according to our plan, even if it seems like it is. It never does. So, what we need to know is that life is uncertain and we have no control over it. And actually, having control over it means you're trapped in your comfortable zone, which is your past, because your comfortable zone is what your subconscious is familiar with, which is your past. So if you're looking for comfort and certainty, then it means you're stuck in the same loops, or you're stuck in the comfortable area, your past. And what we need to trust is that you are always protected. And if it seems like a no for the moment, the universe never says no. It is always giving you something better. And I always tell my clients this, that you don't even see 1% of this reality. It is like 0.0035% something. So don't even trust your own eyes. Don't even trust your own eyes and your mind. What you see is not the reality. Energy is always in motion and circulation. You don't see it, but it is moving. You don't see your desired reality, but something better is coming. If you can only detach from what you see with your eyes and your brain in the 3D, even that is going to give you a huge relief. And it is also important that when we fear that we're going to lose something, right? What makes us anxious is also the fear of losing. It's important to remember that you don't own anything. You don't own people. You don't own reality. You don't really own materials. You can lose everything in a moment. You only have yourself. If you don't own anything, you can't lose them. Breaking this attachment to owing things and then being afraid of losing them is going to help you relax. So let's get into the reframe that changes everything. So the old story about manifestation is that anxiety around manifestation means we are doing something wrong. That if we are truly aligned, we'd never feel worried or uncertain. Correct. But what I discovered is that anxiety is not your enemy. You shouldn't avoid it. You shouldn't ghost it. You shouldn't run away from it. You shouldn't try to kill your anxiety. It is actually evidence of your expansion. Your anxiety is not a proof that you're bad at manifesting, but it's a proof that you're outgrowing your old identity. You're anxious because you're stepping outside of your familiar identity zone. And the new version of you, the one who has what you desire, is a novelty to your subconscious, to your nervous system. And your subconscious craves repetition, consistency, and safety. This anxiety is actually your old self recognizing that transformation is happening. So your subconscious is like, oh my God, we're becoming someone else. Guys, danger, threat. This is an unfamiliar zone. What are we going to do? We are consuming energy. What is happening here? That is what's going on in your body, in your nervous system, and on a mental level. It is not trying to sabotage you, but it's trying to keep you safe in the familiar. Let's be grateful for it, right? Doing its job. It's trying to keep us safe. But what we need is not safety, because we are always safe. That's a fact. On a mental level, right? And the belief system, we need to ingrain the belief that we are always safe no matter what happens. When it comes to trust and confidence, I said that's the core belief of I don't trust myself, I don't trust in the universe. Now we need to reframe that belief. I trust the universe, I trust myself. But how do you actually trust yourself? Confidence comes from conviction. You need to be convinced in your skills or your abilities. And here's what I learned: confidence isn't a feeling you wait for, it's a decision you make repeatedly. You need to decide to trust in yourself before taking action or even after failing. You need to trust in yourself, be convinced that you are capable. You can try another time. You can do it in the third time, fifth time, whatever. Confidence comes from conviction, and conviction comes from choosing to believe in your expansion, even when your nervous system is still catching up. It requires some emotional maturity, right? Because you are expanding and you are stepping into that unfamiliar zone, the new identity, the new frequency, and the new belief system, and your nervous system is shaking. It is anxious, right? It's an unfamiliar zone, but you need to be convinced to choose yourself no matter what, to convince yourself to choose the new version every single time. And this conviction, I believe, is supported by your why. Why do I want this? Why is it important for me? If you know your why as to your manifestation, as to your desired reality, then you know how to convince yourself, because it is so important for you and you want to choose the new reality even if it feels uncomfortable. And you want to choose your new identity even if it feels uncomfortable. Let's wrap this up and then move on to the practical integration. Now we have the core belief that I have confidence, I trust myself, I trust the universe. That vibrates the frequency of wholeness, abundance, because I have confidence, I trust. And now I know if I feel anxiety, this is actually proof of my potentiality, and I am outgrowing my old self. And I'm stepping into the unfamiliar zone, and my nervous system is a little bit shaken, but it will catch up. And this is an altar for my system, but my subconscious loves consistency, repetition, and safety. Therefore, I need to make this safe for my system. This is what we're going to do in the second part. What I want you to do is to combine this new mindset, redefined anxiety, and what's going on in your body with the nervous system regulation. Once I understood what anxiety really was, I could work with it instead of against it. And this removes the resistance. And it's very important. Working with your emotions, working with your thoughts, working with your belief systems instead of against them. So, step one is adopting this new mindset. Anxiety is a proof of my expansion. My system is simply adjusting to the new version of me. And I have trust. I am convinced and I choose myself. Okay. Step two is regulating your nervous system. Use breathwork or grounding techniques or whatever helps you return to safety in your body. You're not trying to eliminate anxiety. You are showing your nervous system that it is safe to expand. And I recommend you to use these techniques as much as possible, but the most importantly, use them when you're making the new choices, the hard choices, when you're choosing a new feeling, let's say after a breakup, instead of dwelling on sadness, anger, or disappointment, choose the new emotion. And how you're going to do this is actually first going through the experience, healing your emotions and freeing yourself from these emotions, and then shifting your frequency to abundance, peace, love. Because after a breakup, it is not realistic to go from sadness to gratefulness like this. You need to first process your emotions and free yourself from these emotions. And if you need help with this, I'm going to leave a video up here and in the descriptions as well. I have many videos on my channel about this. Then after doing the work, this is a lesson. I'm learning my lesson from this experience. But now, after like a few hours, back in the game, I have a new self concept, new identity, I have new emotions, new belief systems, and I am not going to react to the 3D anymore because it is the old reality. So, what I suggest is that you apply these nervous system regulation techniques while choosing the new version, because which is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. After a breakup, you're trying to stay grateful. I know, but you need to do it. Then for step 3, as I said, choose the new you. And I want you to consciously choose to embody the version of yourself who already has what you desire, not as a performance, but as a homecoming to who you really are. Because that version is no different than you. You're already her. So I want you to think of it as a homecoming. And step 4, let go of the result. This is where most people get stuck. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you trust the intelligence of the universe more than your limited perspective on timing and method. You don't need to know that it's gonna come. You already know it's gonna come, either your desired reality or better, but you don't need to know it. It's a default knowing. You don't seek proof from the 3D. You can let go of the result. And step 5, surrender and trust the process. Surrender is not passive. Many people think it's just like doing nothing. Going with the flow is doing nothing. Not really. It's the most powerful active choice you can make. You're actively choosing to trust something greater than your anxious mind's need to control. So the underlying message here is that I surrender because I don't need to control, because I know I'm always protected and my desired reality is already here. I am expected to align with it on an energetic level. The only thing I need to control myself. If I can control my feelings, emotions, and actions, that's really it. That's all I have to do. The rest is on the universe. And everything will be put together once you're aligned with that frequency, because you need to show that you are that person, not just in your words, but you gotta walk the talk and really prove the universe, not only on a physical level, but also energetic level, that you are the new version of you who deserves the reality, who can sustain the reality. Finally, in part 3, we will redefine attachment. I had 2 full videos on attachment in manifestation on my channel that go deep in this topic. So definitely check those out for the complete picture. But here's the key insight. Attachment isn't about wanting something. It's about believing you need to control how it comes. And this need for control, again, comes from lack of self-trust or lack of trust in the universe. And that shows us a low self-concept. Why don't you trust yourself? Why don't you believe you're worthy? When you heal your attachment, you're not becoming indifferent, you're becoming infinitely more powerful because you're working with universal intelligence instead of trying to micromanage it. Because you trust yourself, you believe you're worthy, and you're calm, you're patient. These are very high vibrational. You see, universe has no choice but to give it to you because now you're aligned. You radiate that calm, confident energy. This shift changed everything for me. I went from being stuck in manifestation loops periodically to manifesting on autopilot, not because I stopped caring, but because I started trusting. I stopped trying to convince the universe and started convincing myself that I am worthy of expansion, and my desires are safe. And that something better than I can imagine is always unfolding. If this resonates with you, I want you to try this. The next time you feel manifestation anxiety, instead of trying to fix it or push it away, say this: this anxiety is a proof of my expansion. I am safe to become who I'm meant to be. Let me know in the comments how this lands for you and what's one manifestation you've been feeling anxious about, and let's reframe it together. And please remember, you are not broken. You are not doing it wrong. You are expanding. And expansion can feel uncomfortable until it becomes your new normal. Subscribe if this helped you, and I'll see you in the next one.